Now, Donald Trump has urged Britain to get its act together on illegal migration. That's as he touched down in Scotland for a private visit this weekend. Yes, the US president is visiting his golf course at Turnberry. On his trip across the Atlantic last night, he slammed what he called a horrible invasion, after GB News' Bev Turner asked him about illegal immigration.
But on immigration, you better get your act together. Or you're not going to have Europe anymore. You got to get your act together. Biden was a total stiff, and what he allowed to happen, but you're allowing it to happen to your countries. And you got to stop this horrible invasion that's happening to Europe. This immigration is killing Europe.
It's brilliant
it's like I'm seeing double. I can't compute in my head.
If only. Right, to discuss this, I'm pleased to welcome someone who knows all about this, the host of Politics podcast, Justin Young. Justin, thank you so much for joining the panel tonight. Look, we're obviously, from a British perspective, you're talking to GB News here. Most of us on this panel can agree more with Trump. But how does it look from an American's perspective? We're really keen to understand. Do Americans think, wow, what the heck is going on in Europe? And do they feel the same way that Trump does, Justin?
Well, one of the iconic elements of being an American is that we really only think about America. So our perspective on Europe tends to be a little bit limited. But there is no doubt as far as immigration goes. But I think what Trump is saying there is not necessarily a signal to anybody but the right wing of European countries, and specifically in the UK, where you guys are. His story politically is directly tied to this issue. He rose the issue of immigration to salience in 2016 in a way that nobody really had since Patrick Buchanan back in 1992. Just to give you a little context, when Mitt Romney lost back in 2012, the autopsy that the Republican Party did suggested that they move away from immigration entirely, that they were being called mean, that they were alienating Hispanic voters, that would only become a larger part of the electorate. And what Donald Trump did in 2016 was say, no, we're going to make it a bigger part. It's going to be a signature element of my campaign. And it really took the Biden administration reflexively doing the opposite of everything that Trump did that brought the majority of the country to his side. And you started seeing things that I had never seen in my entire life being a political nerd, and that is a net majority of Americans saying mass deportations were popular. That's something that I never expected to see. And even though obviously there's a lot of controversy around it now, it's not cratering in the way that I think many people assumed that it would. I think eventually the left will find enough super compelling cases that they'll make a very, very big deal about. But in general, America kind of came to an agreement that what was happening under Biden, at least, was something that absolutely could not. And what Trump is saying now is that for the right wing of your country, don't run away from this. Don't be ashamed of it. This is something that has brought him to, the highest level of power in our country, and some would say the world.
Well, this is it, Justin. I mean, I know Trump was quite rightfully bragging about the fact he had 0 illegal migrants enter America. I think it was last month. And even the left-wing press in America have verified that claim. It's quite a shocking thing to hear because obviously before Trump came into power, we were talking about thousands, tens of thousands of people coming into the country en masse. How has this been dealt with in America? Because I get the sense that many parts of Europe are about 10 years lagging from America when it comes to culture. Do you think that we might be headed in that direction?
I would say the mechanics of what happened was there's, just a leaky asylum system that we have in America, and we certainly had under Biden. I think it's a credible comparison to say that essentially America just sort of exported its immigration system to a lot of the southern cartels based in Mexico and Central America. That was even what President Biden said when he eventually went to the border and started talking about it, that this was a $5,000 fee that led people who were desperate to come to America in horrifying circumstances. If you listen to some of the stories of people who traveled on those pathways, and then oftentimes were sort of sold into servitude anyway. And this was a gigantic moneymaker for the cartels. So the way that you solve it is by saying that you cannot just exploit the loopholes that were happening when Biden was president, which was showing up to the border and claiming asylum, understanding that there was going to be a backlog of 8 to 12 years before you might see a courtroom.
Justin, I just want to bring in the rest of my panel because they've got lots of questions I'd like to ask you. Will?
Yeah, Justin, agree with all of that. But we often say in this country, we criticise politicians for going overseas when the going gets tough at home. It's easier to look like a statesman than to deal with really tough things at home. Isn't this trip just a diversion for Trump from the growing scandal around Epstein?
You know, I don't know if there is a place on earth that he could go that would quiet the furor around the Epstein story right now. It really is the story that will not die here in America, unlike Epstein himself. So, you know, whether it's a distraction, I don't know. I mean, this seems like the kind of stuff that Trump does in general. There's more of an argument to say that what our director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, put out this week, essentially saying that the CIA and Barack Obama were more deliberate in how they presented and shaped the evidence for the Russiagate conspiracy, that is something that is meant to distract. And I don't know if that's true for the broader public, but it certainly is something that will give his hardcore base that has been very animated by the Epstein stuff something else to talk about. That being said, I don't know how he quiets down the Epstein stuff because, you know, there's not even really an agreement on what would be released.
Yeah.
People have so many ideas about this case that range anywhere from just a Playboy lifestyle where this guy recruited underage girls for him and his girlfriend to pedophilic, eyes wide shut kind of conspiracies that I don't know what would satisfy the body populace to it.
So that's really, I've changed my question because of what you've just said. I apologise. I want to stay on this topic. So there is talk at the moment here, I don't know about in the States, of Trump pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. What would that do to that base in the States?
I don't believe that she would get a pardon unless she was the center of quite possibly the most covered and sensational congressional testimony in the history of the United States of America. This would be something that would be covered globally because it would hold the promise of staining the reputations of presidents, financial figures, the royal family, and many, many, many people in between. The promise of what Ghislaine Maxwell could say under oath is nearly limitless when it comes to scandal, considering the parameters of what we've known. So I think if she was going to get a pardon, that would probably have to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Dominic?
Thank you, Justin. We've talked about criminal organisations and maybe we should touch on the Trump organisation. And you mentioned Tulsi Gabbard, of course, friend of Bashar al-Assad. Do you think in a fair immigration system that President Trump would be welcome in a country as a migrant?
Well, I mean, in Trump's immigration system, he wants to sell citizenship for $5 million a pop. So I think if he's got the cash to spend, he would be able to come in on his own.
We need them here, Justin. We're losing millionaires at a rapid rate. We could definitely do with some more of them.
Well, trust me, I think that's a push and pull between our great relationship. We want the millionaires, and we will happily take anyone that want to leave anywhere else. You know, Donald Trump is somebody that has very famously been a glad-hander that has made connections with people, oftentimes the people that publicly have slandered him. One of the most revealing things of the 2016 election that people often forget was there was a moment where his voicemail was hacked, something that's very familiar to you guys there in the UK who had your own voicemail hacking scandal. But you had all the voicemails of a bunch of people in the media. And what you found was a lot of grateful people that were very, very excited to thank Donald Trump for little things. Thank you for introducing me to this producer. It really helped me get my new show. Thank you for donating to my charity. That's the kind of guy he is. He is somebody that is sort of always working in the backgrounds in a very transactional way to build his, his influence. So I think that Donald Trump, as a private citizen, would probably be able to make his way into almost any country and make enough friends to get on the board there.
Justin Young, thank you so much for joining us. Justin Young, there, host of Politics podcast. Very good stuff. We love it. We love it. This is so fascinating, isn't it, to see how this plays out. There's so much going on in America at the moment. We just love to see it. And, of course, now with Trump here in the UK, that just makes all the difference.
I thought that was a brilliant answer to that question, actually.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Well, still to come tonight, though, triggered tantrums. Take a look at this.